Welcome to the DPost for All Seasons Sports Show. I'm Drew Rubenstein, and as you can tell, things have changed a little bit. Dave Racy will still be coming in time to chime in with his thoughts, but we're very honored to have Fred Wyants, one of the all-time Mountaineer greats, as an ongoing guest in the show. And Fred, thanks a lot for joining us here.
Yeah, my pleasure, Drew. I'm glad to be here.
And there's quite a few topics that we're going to dive into with Fred, just over the course of your playing career as an NFL referee. You're even an author of 11 books, and then there's a variety of topics that we'll get into in the coming weeks. But where I wanted to start with, and where I think a lot of people will be interested and enjoy, is your journey to WVU and how you came into the starting quarterback role to wear 30-4 record, and obviously one of the all-time winningest quarterbacks in program history. But let's go back your Weston playing days. You're playing for the Minutemen. You're becoming one of the stars for the school. Did you always know you wanted to go to West Virginia? And what are some of your first recollections of being recruited to West Virginia?
The first one was when I was a freshman. They had a banquet at the end of the year, and they brought in, the head coach was Dudley DeGroot, who was a PhD in philosophy. Mm-hmm. And I listened to him talk, and I said, I want to play for him. And he was just, charismatic, and that was the start of it.
That's interesting. And I know we were talking a little bit, and you started specifically referenced your senior year of high school, and you had an offer from Davis and Elkins, and you were trying to impress West Virginia. You knew that Coach Lewis, who had replaced Coach DeGroot at that point, was in the stands. And take us back to that specific night in particular where you knew you had to make an impression for Coach Lewis.
Well, it wasn't that I had to make an impression. It was just, you wanted to. He'd been there the year before. He'd recruited Shockey Van Horn to go to the university and play. And so when I was warming up one night, I knew he was there, and I was on the 40-yard line, and I took the snap and warm up and rolled out to the left and jumped in the air like Harry Gilmer, who was my hero. He played for Alabama, and he and threw the ball out of the end zone, which was about 70 yards. Yeah, it was 70 yards down the field.
Were you throwing to anybody in particular?
No, I wasn't. If people asked me, they said, well, who are you throwing to? And I said, nobody. I just wanted him to see how strong my arm was. And the next day he went to back to Jackson's Mill, where they were training and where we trained for 4 years. And he said, I told Coach Gorham, he said, I think I found our quarterback from now on. And Coach Gorham said, well, how many passes did he complete? And Coach Lewis said, he didn't complete any. And he said, he didn't complete any. And I said, well, I mean, what kind of a quarterback was that? So he hit them all, but he said he hit about 28 times, and they never caught one of them. So that was the beginning. And then when there was Davis and Elkins they had a big 6'6" quarterback that weighed about 260 pounds. His name escapes me, but he was the first pure passer in that league, and he was a good one. And he was graduating, and I was going to take his place. I was recruited for that. And then before we had a chance to do that, they gave up football, Davis and Elkins. So
interesting.
I took West Virginia because that's the only other scholarship I had.
Wow.
Was there.
Well, and it certainly worked out for both sides. And before the Sugar Bowl and before any of the victories against Penn State, let's go back your true freshman year. Correct, and Furman is being the Mountaineers pretty bad, right. and Coach Lewis is looking for some sort of spark, and maybe at that point you were a confident freshman, thought that you could handle the situation, and how did things unfold from there?
Well, I was a fourth-string quarterback that day, and So, but you're sitting there on the bench and you're thinking, I know I can go in there and play, and and he says, Wyant, come here. The score's 22-0. We're supposed to beat them. There's 9 minutes left in the game. So I go in and I said, my throat, you just sort of gulp and run onto the field, and in that instant when I went into the game, we didn't gain any yardage, didn't make a first down, so it's 4th down. I look over to the sideline. Coach Lewis is taking his foot and he's kicking like this. He wants a kick.
Right.
Well, I was used to doing pretty much what I wanted to do with the blessing of the coach in high school. I was the only one that ever started my senior year. So the last game of my senior year in high school, I carried the ball every play, and because the coach said, you go ahead and just do it, for the whole game if you want to. And as I told you, the people in the stands would say, well, at least when he throws the ball, he can't catch it himself. And so when we were.
It's 4th down.
4th down.
He wants you to punt it.
And I'm standing there, and I turn around to the rest of the team in the huddle, and I say, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to throw the ball. I don't want to punt the ball. And they looked at me, and it was sort of like a light bulb that went off, and they said, we don't want to punt it either. So I turned back around, and I said I called a play. And I threw a pass to a fellow by the name of Jack Stone, who will tell you to this day, if you run into him, if you ask him if he knows me, he'll always say, know him, I made him what he was today. And then people will come back and ask me, and I'll say he absolutely did. So I throw a 60-yard pass in the air, which tied Rogers' longest pass in the air.
Huh.
And with crippled arms, he can't lift his arms any higher than this. He crosses the goal line. He's got his hands like this. I throw the ball over top like that, came down, if an inch either way, it wouldn't have been complete. Goes in, he catches it, falls in the end zone. We get to go back, take the ball back, score again. Take the ball back, and we're moving again. Time runs out. And there was no 2-point conversion.
Right.
So 22 to 14, and everybody's trying to get off the field, all the players, because they were supposed to win, and we didn't. And all my friends are knowing they're going to catch heck when they get in. Myself, on the other hand, I'm standing on the sideline on this side of the field, and he walks across the field.
Coach Lewis, right?
Coach Lewis, and he says, boy, he said, you're going to be my quarterback from now on. He said, that is if you learn to follow directions. And I said, yes, sir. And I walked in, and my chest was puffed out from there because I knew I had things had been good. He never called a play, ever again in 4 years.
Huh.
Which was because he was the type of person that he wanted you to have an opportunity to do things that would help you in later life to become a good citizen, have a good business, and that's the way it started. And I started at that time, then started 34 straight games, and we won 30 of them. And if Gene Lathy hadn't gotten hurt twice, we would have won 2 of those. And so I always blame Lathy for not, because it should have been 32-2.
No, that's interesting, and we'll certainly pick up more into more of your career in the coming episodes. But Fred, appreciate you coming on board here, and looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
My pleasure.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Please continue to check TheDPost.com for the latest on the Mountaineers. Thanks for watching today.